Friends, I last addressed your annual session 7 years ago in 2007. That was just before the global economic crisis. When the world was booming, the collapse of Lehman Brothers was a year away, and India was experiencing growth at over 9% per annum. Circumstances have changed since then, not just in India, but all over the world. In my last address, I chose to strike a contrarian note. At a time when everything seemed to be going exceptionally well, I struck a note of caution. I said that while we have achieved much, we also have a great deal more to do to create a growth process that is truly inclusive. I also said that while the visible growth and prosperity of Indian big business, including especially its presence abroad, was in many ways a projection of India's success, there was also need to reflect on the social responsibilities of business. I specifically mentioned the need for restraint in the matter of paying salaries and conspicuous consumption. Some of my friends later told me that my remarks seemed unnecessarily downbeat at a time, but you will agree that these are precisely the issues that began to receive global attention in the aftermath of the global economic crisis. Friends, I propose to strike a contrarian note once again. If the business mood was unduly optimistic in 2007, I think it is unduly pessimistic today. This needs correction, and let me explain. In 2007, I often heard it said that government had become irrelevant because India will grow at 9% whatever the government does. The consensus today is that unless the government acts swiftly, our growth, which has already decelerated, will be perennially stuck at 5%. Naturally, I welcome the rediscovery on the part of business of the importance of government. I do believe that the role of government at this stage is indeed crucial. I do not believe our future is 5% growth. We grew at an average of about 8% in the last 10 years, and we can get there again, and that should be our combined endeavor. But this calls for speedy and decisive governmental action. Government is not the prime mover of growth. In a private sector-led economy, and I repeat, we are a private sector-led economy with 75% of investment being in the private sector, which includes farmers, small businesses, and the corporate sector. The driver of growth is indeed private investment. But the private sector needs an environment in which enterprise can flourish and create both jobs and stimulate growth. It needs an environment which will ensure that this growth is truly inclusive. The environment today is not what it should be, and that is what the government must correct. Our growth has slowed down to 5%, which is clearly disappointing. But this is not a permanent reduction in our longer-term growth potential. As I have said, our economy grew at 8% over the past 10 years. If we go back 15 years, the average was also 7.5%. This kind of dynamism doesn't disappear suddenly, and we must prove the prophets of gloom as wrong. We are seeing, I believe, a temporary downturn which does happen. After all, the business cycle has been a recurrent theme of all textbooks in economics in the past. I believe we are seeing a temporary downturn which does happen from time to time. We must recognize it as such and take corrective action.